Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another Sports Stuff video. Today, we're talking about the Minnesota Vikings and their offseason plan to become Super Bowl contenders. Obviously, they had the best year of their franchise in the last 20 years. Obviously, that 2017 run with Case Keenum was special. But in my opinion, the regular season, this was one of the best teams in the regular season. Just injuries and, bad play from Sam Darnold in that playoff game. It definitely was not the best showing for Sam Darnold. But I think the Vikings, all the rumors have been that they're trying to re-sign him to a short-term deal, not these 5-6 year deals. They want a short-term deal to ensure they can try and win the Super Bowl in the next few years. And I think that's what they're going to try and do. They didn't franchise tag him. They said, hey, Sam, we want to sign you to an extension. Let's wait until free agency and continue the talk. So let's try and win a Super Bowl with the Minnesota Vikings. Let's go. Starting off cuts and or trades. They've done a really good job at keeping the cap space open for this team. They're at positive $63 million entering cuts or trades, re-signing in free agency. So what are some cuts or trades I'm going to be doing? I'm doing a draft day trade. I know it's crazy, all right? Let me go over why I think it's a good trade, all right? So my draft day trade, what I think is going to happen is the Minnesota Vikings make a trade with the Cleveland Browns because Kwesi Odofomonza is very good friends with Andrew Berry. He came from Andrew Berry's staff. Kwesi, they do off-season training together as well, the two teams. They are very good friends. I think this trade has already been agreed upon and is in the works. They're just waiting for the draft because the Cleveland Browns right now, right? There's a lot of smoke about what they want to do at number 2. Are they taking a quarterback? Are they taking Abdul Carter? I think they're trying to get the best trade they possibly can at number 2. And I think the Vikings are also playing hardball. They want to try and get Sam Darnold under roster first. So right now, the Browns and the Vikings are playing PR battle, right? Where the Vikings are saying, hey, we want to re-sign Sam Darnold. Okay, well, we don't want to do this trade of JJ McCarthy if we can't guarantee Sam Darnold is on our roster. So the Browns are like, okay, until you can guarantee that, we're going to keep throwing smoke out there that we are willing to trade, but we also want a quarterback. We will take Shador or Cam Ward. So right now, because the Vikings are held up with Sam Darnold, the Browns are held up with number 2, and they don't want number 2, but they're going to keep giving those words out that they're going to take a quarterback. So the Browns, they're waiting for Sam Darnold to fall. Once Sam Darnold becomes a part of the franchise's future, this trade, I believe, will be put through. So the Browns, they trade number 24, the Vikings trade number 24 overall, a future second, and JJ McCarthy for Cleveland's number 2 overall, a future third, and number 165, 216, and 257. So 5th, 6th, and a 7th round pick this year. The reason both teams do this, the Vikings are in a win now mode, and so are the Browns. But the Vikings, they now have 2 quarterbacks on roster that they believe they can win with, right? They drafted JJ McCarthy last year. They have Sam Darnold, who they're trying to extend right now. So they're in a plethora of guys right now. I think they want to sign Sam Darnold, and when they go to sign him at the table, they tell him, hey, now that you've officially signed, here's our game plan with the Cleveland Browns. We're going to trade JJ McCarthy. You're our starter for the next 3 years. The Vikings then trade up to number 2 overall, and you'll see what I do at number 2 overall. They have a guy that they want to help their team win right now in that loaded NFC North. Then they trade number 24, so the Browns are trading back 22 picks. They trade JJ McCarthy and a future second. They swap picks basically next year, where the Vikings trade back to the 3rd, the Browns trade up into the 2nd. Again, I think both teams will be pretty good, so that won't really matter. They'll basically be a 4th into a 3rd. And then 5, 6, and 7 to get some draft capital for this season. The Browns offload some of those late round picks that the Vikings could use. And the Browns still have a 1st round pick this year. They have a 2nd round pick next year and a quarterback that they can now build around for the future. Because I think everyone could agree that if JJ McCarthy came out this year, he would be the number 1 overall quarterback, right? I think we can all agree on that. So the Browns, they want a quarterback at number 2. You still get a quarterback at number 2, but you just trade back and you take him on going into his 2nd season, coming off a major knee injury that sidelined him the entire year. I like this for both teams. The Vikings, they trade up. They can take a blue chip prospect to help them win right now and for the future. They get draft capital for this season, and they still keep the draft capital next year. The Browns, they get the quarterback of the future. They trade back 22 picks. So they still have a 1st round pick, and they move up into the 2nd round next year. I think it's a win-win trade for both teams. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this. I think it's actually a really good trade for both teams. I thought it was the only one that made sense for the Vikings to, kind of move around the draft, get more draft capital, and win right now. So that's the only trade I'm doing. Some restructures I'm going to be doing is Jonathan Bernard is going to be the only restructure at $13.8 million, opening up $14 million basically. There are other guys I was willing to restructure, right? There's guys on the offensive line I was willing to restructure. TJ Hawkinson, Harrison Phillips, Harrison Smith, Brian O'Neill, like Justin Jefferson as well. There are guys I'm willing to restructure, but I only want to do Jonathan Grenard because I want to open up as much money as possible without pushing too much money down the line. So Jonathan Grenard, immediately impact. You get that restructure money to hit you right now to help you re-sign some of your guys. So now you have $72.5 million in re-signings. And as I've been saying, Sam Darnold has to be the priority. I re-signed Sam Darnold, who succeeded in this system, who proved he can be really good in the system. We give him 4,300. Last year, he had 4,300 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. Really proved to still have the talent to be a franchise quarterback in the NFL. I am going to invest in this window with Sam Darnold. You have Kevin O'Connell. You have Brian Flores right now. And that's the main thing, right? Kevin O'Connell is going to be with this team for his entire career up until they fire him or he retires, right? Brian Flores, though, he's gone. As soon as there's a head coaching job that wants him, he's gone. So I want to invest in this window with Brian Flores as a DC, one of the best defensive coordinators in the league, and Kevin O'Connell as a head coach. I want to invest as much as I can right now to win before we lose Brian Flores in that defense that was top 5 last year. I do think he wants to stay. You know, Sam Darnold knows, hey, I'm going to play really well in Minnesota. You know, yes, I could get my payday right now and suck somewhere else, but why not just stay in the system I had success in and not only have this contract, which is a lot of money, but in 2 or 3 years, I can re-up for another big-time contract, right? And with Sam Darnold, you're a true Super Bowl contender right now with the more free agency and more additions in the draft. You're still going to be doing stuff. You now have a quarterback that you have a floor with to try and win a Super Bowl. So I give him a 3-year, $113.5 million deal, 82 and 3/4 guaranteed at 73% guaranteed. And as you can see, those cap numbers are malleable. So when I do big contracts like this one especially, I'm going to move all that money to non-prorated bonuses because that is money that you can restructure, right? So now, you know, honestly, year one, his base salary is 1.255, the vet minimum, and $25 million in bonuses. That bonus is play one snap in the league. Boom, you get a $25 million bonus. It doesn't go against, you know, it does go against the cap, yes, but then number 14 and number 17 in the next 2 years, you can restructure that base salary into a signing bonus and push it back. That's what I'm going to continue to do is keep pushing this money back because I do think Sam Darnold will be the quarterback of the future with this scenario that I just made. So that prorated bonus is now malleable and, you know, it's cap magic where the base salary doesn't go above 15 million, but the cap number's a lot. But it's because you keep pushing these bonuses back that the base salary stays really low. So Sam Darnold, I'm going to, you know, extend for 3 years, and that now we have a floor of a quarterback we can believe in, that we know his floor is 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, right? That's what we can bet he's going to hit no matter what. Now, if it's above or below, that's the question. But you have Justin Jefferson, you have Jordan Addison, you know, you have an okay offensive line and a good defense. Let's continue to try and win right now. And that trade with JJ McCarthy going to the Browns, you get number 2 overall. You can reinvest immediately. The only other re-signing I'm going to be doing from the current squad is Cam Bynum. So Cam Bynum last year had 67 tackles, 3 interceptions, 13 run stops, and 5 pass breakups. He was all over the field. He has turned into a very reliable free safety. I mean, really, like this last year was insane from him. Harrison Smith will most likely retire next year. So, you know, Cam Bynum could be your free safety in the future full time. And he was a locker room boost all season, right? This is the dude who made all those dancing dances for the team when they scored touchdowns. He got a lot of, you know, PR and good press for the Vikings. I think that does matter for the Vikings. And again, he was a really goddamn good football player, right? 67 tackles, 3 interceptions, 5 pass breakups, and 13 run stops. That is a really good, you know, year for a free safety, no matter who you are. And Cam Bynum, keep him in building, reward guys that, you know, played for you and you developed and became good players. But yeah, I re-signed him to a 3-year, $50.5 million deal, $33 million guaranteed at 65% guaranteed. I think that's a pretty good number. Again, that's like 3 for 50. You know, that's what a lot of these safeties will be going for in this free agency period. Do not be shocked if it's not massive deals, but they're all quality good deals. Then in free agency, you have $27 million to kind of fill out the rest of the roster. First off, I'm going to go for Ifeatu Melifonwu, taking a shot on a division rival. Last year had 9 tackles and 0 interceptions, 5 run stops, and 0 pass breakups. Injuries have definitely plagued his career so far. In 2023, that was his only real healthy season, and he was a really good safety for them. You know, he could contend for the starting job, but I think Metellus and Bynum and Harrison Smith definitely have the safety position held down. So I think Ifeatu Melifonwu could actually shade over this corner a little bit as well. But let him go in the free agency next season. He's a good tackler. He's a ball hawking safety / corner. For $3.5 million, you're taking a shot on him. It's only a 1-year deal, so if it doesn't work out, you can let him walk, get a comp pick. But for me, I'm willing to take the bet on Ifeatu Melifonwu. Next, you have Jordan Lewis, a more veteran corner. Last year, had 52 tackles, 1 interception, 24 run stops, and 5 pass breakups. To me, he's a truly dominant boundary corner, right? He's not one of these top end of the league guys, but he's always a dude that just consistently shows up. Lots of starting experience. Dallas sucked, so I could see him being signed as under the radar signing, where people go, Jordan Lewis, he's from the Cowboys. They sucked last year. Well, he's the only good corner that they had last year. So I did say starts opposite of Byron Murphy. I forgot Byron Murphy was a free agent until this very second. So yeah, he is the number 1 corner for you, Jordan Lewis. He is a great tackler, great run defender, and I'm willing to have that on this team. We know that Brian Flores, wants his corners and safeties to be physical, and Jordan Lewis is that in the run defense. So I give him a 1-year, $4.5 million deal to come over and be our starter at cornerback number 1. Next, we have Trey White. Yep, I know Trey White, 18 tackles, 0 interceptions, 4 run stops, and 4 pass breakups last year. Truly had an abysmal season. I mean, this is a former all-pro cornerback who just definitely with all these injuries has really fallen off. Maybe get a glimmer of his former self in Minnesota. Who was it? It was I don't think it was Stephon Gilmore. Maybe it was Patrick Peterson's who I'm thinking of. But yeah, this team has always kind of gotten those, a really old corner and kind of seen what, kick the tires on them. I think Trey White is the next guy in that. At worst, he's a veteran help. He can help this young secondary that I'm trying to form. Really just learn the ways of the football, basically. Because I'm in the draft. I'm going to give you guys something. I do draft multiple secondary guys. So Trey White, maybe he can be that veteran guy for them. And at worst, maybe, at best, he's a starter. And he, returns to somewhat of his former self. At worst, he's just a veteran guy. Lots of starting experience. Former Pro Bowler. Yeah, I'm cool with that. 1 year, $3.5 million. Next, we have Derek Nottie. Derek Nottie had 8 tackles, 0 sacks, 0 forced fumbles, 3 run stops, and 1 pressure. He was injured most of the last season in Kansas City. He's been a good rotational nose tackle and D tackle. He moves all across the defensive line. I think Brian Flores would love that. He plays whatever role the team asks of him. Again, every team in the NFL loves the guys that just, hey, go do this for this play. Yes, sir. Like, that's what guys like, and Derek Nottie does that exactly. 1 year, $4 million. I think that's a really good, play for Derek Nottie. Then grabbing Robert Jones from Miami. Robert Jones had 56 PFF grade, 54 pass blocking, 56 run blocking. He had a poor season in Miami. I mean, who didn't? They ran a similar run game in Minnesota than Miami. Like, they had a very similar run game, wide zone. Robert Jones, very athletic guard. He did allow 5 sacks. I think you'll be able to get him for pretty cheap and get him away from Miami. He's a 1-year flyer to replace Ben Brendel. Again, I believe he's only 26 years old. So, if he works out, you always extend him. If he doesn't, you let him walk. It was a 1-year deal. You say goodbye. And I'm going to be dipping one more time in the Miami Dolphins pool, grabbing Raheem Mostert. Last year, had 85 carries, 278 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He is truly one of the fastest running backs in the league. He was usually less this year due to injuries, and Devon Achane dealt with lower leg injuries. 1,000 yards and 18 touchdowns in 2023. So I'm willing to bet that Raheem Mostert can, when healthy, still get 500 yards, 6 touchdowns. That's fine. He did revitalize his career in Miami. So I'm willing to bet on Raheem Mostert to bounce back from an injury-riddled season and try and get back to his former self. Again, at worst, he's a tandem back, right? At worst. At best, he goes back to that 1,000-yard, 18-touchdown dude from a few years ago. Then going into the draft, you have $9 million. As you guys know, I like to have a lot of money entering the draft. I cut it pretty close, right? So again, like I said earlier, I did not restructure Brian O'Neill, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Harrison Smith, Harrison Phillips. I did not restructure anyone else besides Jonathan Grenard. So they could restructure a dude before the draft to open up even more cap space to ensure they have the money to sign the draft class. So here's what I do in the drafts. Boom, right? At number 2, grabbing Abdul Carter. You trade up for number 2. You trade away JJ McCarthy, 24 and a future second for number 2 overall. Abdul Carter, he's my number 1 overall prospect in this class. He can do everything you want to edge. Him and Dallas Turner for the future is lethal for Minnesota, right? When they can get to pressure the quarterback, they're gonna win, right? Andrew Van Ginkel is that veteran for them, but him, Dallas Turner, and Andrew Van Ginkel Can be a really good tandem trio at pass rusher for the future. He can start day one and generate pressure. He's a great run stopper. Danielle Hunter was intriguing, but Travis Hunter. I just have Hunter, so I thought Danielle Hunter. Travis Hunter was intriguing at number 2, right? Obviously, the Vikings need an outside corner, but for me, injuries are a concern, and he wants to play wide receiver. The Vikings don't need a wide receiver. I definitely think that Abdul Carter is at play at number 2. And if you're trading up to number 2, you're drafting Abdul Carter, right? If Cam Ward does go number 1, or another team trades up to number 1 for Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, you can trade up and grab him at number 2. Then at number 97, grabbing Tate Ratledge. To me, he starts day 1. He's one of the most athletic guards to ever touch the NFL Combine. He has great arm length, great explosiveness. He's a really good run blocker. I do think he needs to get a little more active in pass blocking. Get better leverage on the pads. But overall, I love him. He has great speed for a dude who is 6'6", 308 pounds. I'm a very big fan of Tate Ratledge, and I really hope that teams in the NFL, they use him correctly. Because I think the Minnesota Vikings, very athletic offensive line, I think Tate Ratledge fits perfectly. Then at number 140, a guy you guys have not seen me draft before, Brashard Smith from SMU. He's a former wide receiver turned running back. I think he could develop into a true third down running back for this team. But immediately, when he's being drafted, I don't think he's to be a starter. I think he's to be a tandem back with Raheem Mostert. He's small. He's only 5'9", but he has blazing speed at 4.39 40-yard dash. He's a great route runner for Sam Darnold to have a check down option. Again, I see him and Raheem Mostert being a tandem back next year, and maybe the year after you invest in a true starter with Brashard Smith being that tandem guy for them. But for me at 140, I'm willing to take it. Then at number 161, grabbing Nick Nash from San Jose State. Nash is a Triple Crown winner in college football last year. He led college football in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. He's 6'3", 195. I think he can be the glue guy at slot corner for Sam Darnold. He's a former quarterback, so I think he can read coverages really well, better than any other wide receiver in this class. And he uses that to win in separation, right? He's a crisp route runner, and he uses his frame and his route running more than his speed. I think he'd be a really good power slot for this team. And I would not be shocked with him, Justin Jefferson, and Jordan Addison. That is a really good trio with then Brashard Smith running routes at running back and TJ Hawkinson. That is a very competent receiving room. Then at number 165, grabbing O'Donnell Fortune from South Carolina. He's 6'1", 185 outside corner. He had 7 interceptions the last 3 years. Really good ball hawking corner. He's not a good run defender, but he's a great zone guy, and he has the ability to do press corner. And Mike Flores loves zone cover. Brian Flores loves zone coverage, and O'Donnell Fortune is probably one of the best pure zone ball hawkers in the class. He had 14 coverage stops, which is top 15 in college football. I'm taking O'Donnell Fortune. He's a perfect fit for the system. Maybe he doesn't start day 1 with all the veterans I signed, but that's a dude for the future. I would not be shocked if he starts getting playing minutes. Then at 216, grabbing Dylan Fairchild from Georgia. Let's pair them Georgia boys back up together in the pros. He's a great pass blocker, good run blocker. He's not as athletic as Ratledge, but he's definitely a potential steal in the 6. I like his odds. Again, maybe it doesn't start for you day 1, but I think Dylan Fairchild could definitely develop into a starter in the NFL. A guy that I don't know anything really about is Trey Weddick. He's 6'7", 319. I don't know if he's going to be able to develop into a starter, but he's a great run blocker, serviceable pass blocker. He's a developmental guy at tackle. Maybe he develops into something, but at worst, he's a 7th round, tackle. But he played guard and center in college football. So if, injuries happen, Trey Weddick could come in and start. But I want to see what he can turn into the pros. 6'7", 319, played at Indiana this last year and had a really good year. I'm willing to see what Trey Weddick can turn into. But yeah, it gives me a B+ overall. Getting number 165, 216, and 757. I get O'Donnell Fortune, Dylan Fairchild, and Trey Weddick from those picks. That is a stud. You trade up or you trade back next year from the 2nd to the 3rd, and you trade up from 24 to 2. All you have to do is give it JJ McCarthy. You re-sign Sam Darnold. You get a bunch of one-year guys to kind of fill out your roster for veterans, and you can draft their replacements in the future. But most importantly, getting Abdul Carter, that is going to help your team at day 1 to win the NFC North again and try and become a Super Bowl contender. So if you guys did enjoy, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know down in the comments down below if you agree with my trade, if you think it was ridiculous, whatever you want to think. Let me know down in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys later. Peace and bye.